I don't know if this is going to actually go up after the last video where I said there was a continuation of a topic from the last video that I do in this video. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. All right, so this is going to be another tangential sort of rant, but it loosely ties to the concept from the previous video about society and people being interested in the concept of being aware of the difficulties that other people live through and trying to make things better as a result. Okay, so tangent time. I've recently been under the very aggressive thought process of what if people on Earth are not the only beings in existence. Mostly because if it turns out we are, that's really depressing. There's a lot of space out there, and if we're the only things that exist, that's unfortunate. Not that people in general are terrible. I mean, people are fine, I guess, in moderation. I think it's more just the idea that we've had so much time to do better, and it seems like we just kind of do the same things over and over again. Like we get to a point where we say, "Oh, we're enlightened," or we're going to think about things differently, or we're going to do better, and then we just kind of repeat the same cycle over and over again. And that led me to maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, they had the whole, oh, they're going to release all this information about unidentified flying objects and something or other. And the government's acknowledging, like, there are things out there, we don't know what they are. We don't know if they're alien, but we don't necessarily know it. Like, we're acknowledging there's something that was flying that we don't know what it is. I know some people did some videos on it when it happened, and I'm way behind with that because I'm doing it now, and it was like months ago. But that made me, or the last video I did in that topic made me think about it again, because I was thinking, it'd be interesting if there were other beings out there. Like, it'd be cool to see what was out there in the universe. Like, just kind of do the whole, exploration thing, and just kind of see what the side, like when you look at planetariums and such, and you look at like, oh, what the universe looks like, and supernovas and all that kind of stuff. It all looks interesting. Like I'd like to see the surface of another planet, or how the universe looks from the surface of another planet. Like, I know we have our perspective based on, the ozone and all that, but like how it would look if you were standing on Pluto, like looking at the rest of the universe, and like how the sun and its distance from you and how that would look. But the thought process was, if there are things out there that our intelligent life can make it to Earth, there are several potentials. So either they've contacted, they're only in contact with people of high-ranking clearance, and that is potentially a catalyst for a lot of the technological advances. So we go from the generic, steam power, printing press, to computers that, fill a room, to computers that fit in your pocket, to what's happening now. I can talk to somebody who lives in, Japan, as long as, the time is figured out properly. Like, it's going to be the wrong time for one of us. Like, one of us is going to be staying up. But I could still have that conversation. And that wasn't the thing before. Like, if I want to talk to somebody, I had to write a letter or travel, and that would take time. So there's the potential. They're talking to people high ranking. They've given information. There's a sort of sharing of information, and the people at the highest level are aware that religion exists, and talking about creatures or beings, consciousness from other areas would undermine that a lot. So that probably won't go over well. Because a lot of people, they tie very heavily to religion. I grew up with a lot of different religious influence. Not to say like I went to a bunch of different religious institutions, but like I was aware of a lot of different religions. And I had friends who were of different religions, so we kind of talked about things. But yeah, some people hold on pretty tight. Like even if you start the conversation and question a religious thing, it's so deeply tied to the person that they are. It's an attack on them if you have a question, even if it's a legitimate, like, hey, a question about the thing that you were just saying. That book that was written about your higher deity, it was written by a person, right? Like if I today wrote a book, it's going to be through the lens of like how I see things and how I write things. And even if I say someone's telling me to write the book, I'm still writing it as me, right? Like if someone tells me right now, write a book, and they tell me the things to write, and they basically just tell me like what to write down, I'm still going to have to write it, right? Like I'm not physically the person whose words I'm transposing. Like it's from someone else. So like it's like a game of telephone. Hooray. I'm sure something was lost in translation, but again, don't. I mean, I guess I am technically going there, but that's a kind of different conversation for another time. So there's high level. Certain people know sharing of information, not telling people because everybody's gonna freak out. Other thought process is Earth is a zoo for other like creatures. Like the same way we go to the zoo and we see like penguins and stuff. Like we like, oh, ha ha ha, like that's funny. Those creatures play. They don't get that there's a whole wide world out there, and like they couldn't get on a plane and just go play. They can't fathom the concept. Like if we're that, like they come and they look like ha 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 ha. They just gotta stay on their planet. That's funny, um, which would make sense. I mean, for the most part, all of us have to stay on the planet. And if we try and leave, like there's a lot of training and stuff, so I get that. Uh, that would be slightly more demeaning than the other thought process that I have, which is they've come, they don't see us as an exhibit. They're not here to visit to like pity in the sense that like just to like watch and observe us, but they're looking and they're like, you guys don't need to be involved in anything outside of your own planet. Like we've seen what you guys do and no. Just no. Like you're gonna go somewhere else and you're gonna be like, that's mine. I claim it. Here's the stuff I'm gonna do, and there's like I don't want any of that anywhere else in the universe. Like nobody wants that. Like we've all come together. There was a council of Orion's belt, and we've decided no, humans, no. We don't want you. Stay on your planet. And I could see that. Like we expand in a very parasitic way. Like we just kind of absorb resources, push out and take stuff, and then we just sort of amend history to make it work for that thought process. Like for us to do that. I think if we got to a point where we were willing to be less, I would say intrusive. If we were more aware of ourselves and we were more forward thinking in where things can go, like how the world and how the universe itself connects and how things can progress, I think that if there were other beings, there could potentially be a conversation where we would say, hey, here's a sharing of ideas. I'm not sure what we would offer to them if they can make it all the way here. But here's the sharing of ideas. Welcome to the intergalactic community. You're allowed to travel over there, which would be great. But there is a part of me that looking at history thinks if I had to guess, it seems more likely that some sort of higher consciousness would be like, don't involve them yet. Maybe not ever, but yet. Because like maybe they don't get it yet. Like you wouldn't put your kid in a car. And I am calling the human race a child at this point. I'm gonna have to get behind that. You wouldn't put your kid in a car and like tell them to drive. Like you might bring them with you, but then there's also the the are we there yet? They make a bunch of noise. They don't understand the concept of time and like getting places, and then they're frustrated, and it makes the whole experience potentially just not something you want it to be. Or they got to put on songs and like entertain them, so like you can get from point A to point B. That may not be something another species wants to do. Like like let's have them hitchhike, and like we'll keep them entertained until we get to like the fun stuff. Maybe they don't want to do that. Maybe they're like it's not worth the effort. This is all supposing there is something else out there, which again would be nice. It'd be a lot of wasted space if it was just us, and would make the already pretty lonely concept of the planet even lonelier if in the universe it was just us. But again, the idea that they would just be sort of looking down on us isn't great. The best outcome would be that they've already interacted and people just can't wrap their heads around it. So like Hollywood and like science fiction and whatnot tries to introduce concepts to make people more comfortable with it. And then maybe like one day, hey, everybody, here's the reality now. There's these people, and it's like Men in Black. It's just like, oh, here's all these species. They're gonna come. We're like a way station, and congrats, we're part of it now, which should be cool. I just don't see anything that we've done historically where, with the information we've sent out, somebody would come here and be like, you guys should be given the ability to go elsewhere. Like we're confined to this planet currently, and that seems like a good idea. For like if they want to travel and they want things to stay the way they are, like let's say the rest of the galactic community or universal community is like, hey, we go to these planets. These are planets that we go to just see like cool vegetation. There's a species on this planet that's really beautiful. There's the geography of this planet's really nice. The gravity is fun. Whatever. No one owns it. We just like people travel, and this is just what we do. I don't see people the way that we've been historically saying, "Wow, that's nice. Let's just leave that how it is and not interfere. Let's just not cause a problem. Not try and take something. Not try and make it ours. But just that's a thing that we can see." And then that just being it. And I'll be honest, I don't see a lot of people, or I say people because again, through my lens, but I don't see a lot of like species sitting there saying, hey, them. Like if it's my vote, them. Let's add them to the equation. Let's see how that goes. Because like if they're already doing it, I'm sure it's going fine, potentially. Or maybe they want to involve us. They're like, hey, let's add that variable. Let's see where that goes. I would love to see what other people's opinions are. This is kind of like an open-ended sort of video that I could reply to. Like if enough people say something that I would reply to, replying to it is another video. But there's something I've been thinking about a lot recently because it would be nice if there was something else. Like to see like, oh, what are you gonna do today? Oh, I'm gonna go to Pluto. Or oh, there's this galaxy that like it'll take some time, but I'm gonna go there instead of what we're doing here because this isn't great. There's a lot of like famine and people doing just terrible things. Just terrible for no reason. Like there's like a Costco all over the place, and there's supplies. Like at least what I've seen, the supply chain doesn't seem like it'll dry up if people have stuff. So and this is again goes to the last video. It's just, hey, how can we fix it? Maybe people should just be given stuff. Not that no one should work. Like people should work. Like I get the need to feel fulfilled and to do that. And there are industries where people they have doctors and people doing stuff, but just hey, you do stuff, buy some more stuff, bigger house, what have you. But just in general, if people are just like not bothering someone else, restricting them from being able to just have just basic needs of like shelter and such, seems like it'll keep causing this problem of people then trying to take something from someone else because they're like, well, I don't want to be on the street and hungry, so maybe I'll take from someone who looks like they have enough to spare, or I think a bank or whoever can stand because they got insurance, like they can stand to lose whatever they're going to lose. But it's again that thought process where it just seems like maybe if there's something out there, they wouldn't want to involve us. Like maybe they don't have that thought process. They're just like, oh, you need some. Okay, if we have enough of it, I guess just have some. Like what? It's there. Like someone saying they own it is a weird like it would be there. Like we haven't created, unless we're talking kids, we haven't created all these things. Like we use different things that already exist and shape them into another thing. But those things already existed. Like the components to create them were there. We just shaped them into something else. And we're like, oh, because we're clever enough to do that, we're just going to say that some people can't have it. And that just, if you can make enough of it, if you just run out of supply, I get that. Like, hey, we ran out of iPhones because we don't have enough materials to make it all. So not everyone can have one. But they are trying to say with most things, like if you can afford it, we'll give it to you. So it's like, so if you have enough, like I don't. Okay, this is getting kind of I was off topic. The topic was just kind of random anyway. If anyone has any comments about the concept of there being another society or there's things out there that exist, I would love to hear from anyone because I like that topic of conversation. I like where it goes. I like where it takes my thoughts, and I will read if someone specifically says something to this video, and then I'll potentially respond to what they're saying, depending on where it goes. Okay, and then I'm going to end it here, and then this one also will not have staring, because it's not as funny now. Like I've done a few of these videos tonight, so staring was funny when I did it the first time, because I guess I thought it was entertaining. But it's just not funny. Like not like I could still do it. It's not as funny. So like when it's funny again, I'll do it again, and I won't let you know. You'll just see it happen, and you'll think like, oh, it paused, or maybe. But I'm not gonna do it now. And then I'll make more videos, maybe tonight. I don't know. I'll see how I feel tonight, and we'll go from there.